What's going on, everybody? It's Crypto Vision here, backing it with another Monday live stream. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're able to get out, do something you enjoy, take a break from the world news that's been going on. If not, it's all good. We're back at it again. The grind doesn't stop. We're going to be checking out all of the, regular crypto that I hold. So we're going to be checking out DGen, Jasmy, Chainlink, XLM, maybe diving into some Bitcoin, some Ethereum. I did enter Ethereum as well, part of the Profit Lab series, so that's been going well. Overall, though, getting a little bit of green. Talked about on the last live stream about potentially shorting some silver, shorting some gold. That looks like it could play out depending on this rotation. Both of those assets have been pretty resilient, especially with what's going on in the Middle East. If you don't know, we are officially at war with Iran. The current administration is, given an estimate of, from the time they, initiated the war to the end, about 3 to 4 weeks. Who knows if there's any truth to that? That could be a rabbit hole thing where just having people chase their own tails and not really being, ahead of the game or keeping themselves ahead of the curve. So ISM printed today. I think it came in at 52.4, something like that. So 52, what is it at right through here? 52.4. So still bullish. ISM is still bullish. We can actually start off with this. ISM is still bullish, right? Kind of back testing that 200 EMA, which is beautiful. We had a setup similar where, you actually came up through here and you actually had a pretty stark retracement. Then you went. All of these, nothing is identical, but you'll get something in a back test. So what we're looking for right now is just to stay above 50, back test, really staying above this 200. That's the monthly, right? This thing has been going on for ISM has been, for forever, right? Forever. So all the EMAs are valid. Everything is valid in terms of what this chart represents. It just represents, if you don't really understand it, you see it kind of posted everywhere. It just represents the expansion, right? In recessive markets, manufacturing isn't expanding, it's contracting, right? Because there's less goods being bought, there's less goods being produced, so thus there's less expansion. It just, in terms of a growing market, a growing economy, that's what you want to see. You want to see expansion growing, and that just is a reflection on goods being, on demand, right? So that means supply is high, demand is high, okay? So right now that's good. The whole tariff thing, there's the tariffs got struck down by the Supreme Court we before the I think, before anything really could adjust, then the administration slapped on, universal tariffs on every country. So it was a quick reaction. I don't know the refund process is going to be through litigation. It's going to take some time for refunds, but a lot of those refunds are going to American companies. So you can think of even more money coming back to America. I know it's weird. I know it's kind of backwards, but that's kind of how that works. And then in terms of, like I said, gold and silver, we can get into, if you guys are interested into gold and silver. Gold is kind of creeping up, but silver is kind of taking a dump today. We have reason to believe that these two, what we need to really see gold and silver kind of take a back seat, right? Because they're taking up a lot of liquidity. They are almost suffocating the market just by the amount of, the weight that they hold right now in the markets. I really truly believe that we need gold and silver to correct. Okay, so we can kind of talk about gold and silver. At least for silver, I talked about even shorting it last week. I did. Shorting it last week just because you're so overbought. This is the monthly. You're so overbought. We can even go to the weekly, make it a little bit more interesting. You're really overbought. So on my indicator, you're extremely overbought. You're above all your EMAs. Maybe back testing your 20 EMA would be ideal, but even coming back down to this fair value, I've even talked about adding down through here, this 60 to 50, something in through there. I'll look to add silver again, and I really do think we're coming this is looking like, you have this A, B, and we're coming down for a C. And that doesn't mean the run is over. I think silver and gold are still going to do very well, but I do think they need a correction. I mean, when you go up significantly for weeks on end, you need a solid correction like something that Bitcoin's going through, right? In terms of the Fu Manchu, yes, you do have that green dot, but it doesn't always align with price action. You got to look at everything. So this green dot, I'm not really buying it. You do have, I mean, you keep getting lower lows on RSI, and your bullish your bullish momentum is slowing down. So it's starting to sputter. The life expectancy of these runs isn't forever. You don't go up forever. You don't go down forever. We had this ascending triangle. Right, if you come down through here, you break down, and then you come up and reject. I'm probably going to look to short if possible through Robinhood and get in through there. So just because, you come down, you need to back test. It's been pretty resilient. We're looking for an actual decision, by this week, by next week, somewhere in between here. This week, next week, we really want to see it correct. Because that money flow, it's not just going to stay on the sidelines. It could go into dividend accounts. It can go into mutual funds, ETFs, things of that nature. It doesn't have to go, people will parrot all the money from precious metals is going to go all into crypto. I don't think that's the case. Even if it's a small percentage, you're going to get a boost for crypto. You're going to get a boost for the stock markets. It's not all going to go into one asset. It's not all going to, what I mean? That's not thinking clearly. Can we get some of it over into crypto? I think so. I think a lot of it will probably just go into the S&P 500, things like that. People who traditionally invest in silver and gold, myself included, right? A little bit more conservative, would rather take 10 to 15, percent gains year in and year out, rather than chasing the lucrative, altcoins, the highly speculative assets, things like that. So I can see a lot of it going into ETFs, some taking some cover, especially during the war, and once it's over, then you could see some reversal. On the gold chart, we're looking a little bit. You got this inverse hammer. It's not very bullish, if you're asking me. Same thing though for gold. It's looking pretty bearish. I know people are calling for gold to keep running. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be investing in gold right here. I wouldn't. No. Right, you look at this chart like this. You look at this. You have you're below. If you were looking at a chart like this, yes, you have a lot of EMAs to get above and to get through, but you're in an extremely overextended region. You're oscillating down. You have this impulse, and you're just oscillating down. This is inversely what's going on with crypto. Crypto is doing this, right? But obviously, this is an inverted chart. So this is not what gold is actually looking like. This is the chart, and it kind of gives you a clear indication that it's corrective. This is corrective. This isn't an impulse. This isn't like this where it's just the banana zone where you're just going up, 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 up. This is corrective, right? This is corrective, and I do expect a lower price for gold. I do. If we can come down to this fair value gap, I don't think we're going to come down to this fair value gap, but anywhere from 45 to 4, I could see gold coming down to. Let's actually take this real quick. I know we're gonna get into crypto, we're gonna get into all that, but I like to look at what's going on in the market. Right? It's not just, you can't just look at charts and be like, oh, it's gonna go here, it's gonna go there. That's just not how it works. Right? It's just not how it works. So many things affect risk on assets, and we got to look at everything. The 1618 is down here at 34. I don't know if it comes down to 34. Maybe the 1 extension. Maybe the 786 to this 1, somewhere down through here. But like I said, it is, if this is a corrective move, right? You got 1, 2, 3. Maybe you come up for a 4th, and then you come down for a 5th. And then you continue your bull run. So that's kind of the idea for gold right now. Looking for a decision to be made by this week. There's a blood moon tomorrow. Right? What does that actually mean? What does that entail for crypto? Well, I don't know. Blood moon to me Some people think, the moon cycles really affect the psychological. Um, I would even say the psychological rhythm of the human mind. So just, you see something, it's flashy, it's bright, I don't know. You know what? I don't even know. I'm not gonna speak on something that I'm not too highly on or too keen on. New moons have been traditionally better for markets, not full moons. So the new moon, which will be, towards the end of the week, will be, I think it's going to be better for crypto. Like I said, if you are enjoying the content, please hit that like button, subscribe for more. Drop your requests if you guys are interested in me covering anything. Okay. One more thing before we even get started with that, I did want to look at some USDT. Been tracking this. I do want to kind of get rid of a lot of this just because there's a lot going on. A lot going on. A lot going on. Cool. Cool. Something like this. Right. This chart, USDT, has been overextended. It has been going sideways. It's almost inversely related. It's almost the exact inverse chart of Bitcoin. And right now we've had bearish divergence, double bearish divergence. You're making lower highs on the RSI. Your MACD is now, we're looking for this MACD to get down below the zero. That's what we're really looking for. I mean, this thing over in April got down below the zero. We need to get oversold. We need to come down, get below the zero. Whoa. But you're highly overextended. You're still above most of your EMAs, right? We do want to see if we can get down below the 20 EMA. When's the last time we did that? Back in December when we had that little rally. It wasn't anything crazy, but some coins saw a little bit. Some coins saw some rally. We're looking for something bigger. We're looking for, defeat all of your EMAs. Defeat all your EMAs on the weekly chart. You got that red dot on the weekly, starting to get, oversold most of the time. All right, when you come up through here, we got some bearish divergence right through here. Bearish divergence on the weekly, and then you really sold off. So is that in play? Does that need to happen now? Well, I think what's happened is, this has just gone on a parabolic run over the past. I mean, yeah, we had some red, but for 195 days, almost straight up. So I do think, got that red dot up through here. The last time we had a red dot on the 10-day, we went down for 20 days. So yeah, I would like to see this come back down, test this 20 EMA. Test that. You're so far extended off your EMAs right through here. This market is just 22%. It's so uncertain, and it's so scared. That's just ripe for the picking for upside. It really is. When you have such a conservative market, that's when risk on appetite is at its highest. That's when it should be. That's my mentality, is when everyone is so conservative. Everyone is they're so paranoid about the macro. They're so paranoid about everything. The doom and gloom has taken a stranglehold on the markets. But USDT, highly overextended. You got that red dot up through there. Trying to get, is there any confirmation yet? No. We need to cross this moving average down through here on this RSI. And then hopefully we see some nice things. Definitely need to come back through here and back test. Does that mean it's over? No, that structure would still be intact because you just be back testing these highs right through here. So you really need to come down through here and close down under through here. And then you'll get a lower high. And then you can come down through here. It's not going to be one false swoop. I'm sorry. I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. I don't think it'll be one false swoop. Like, you come down through here and you come up, back test, and then you get rejected. All right, so we'd have to, make a significant move. First of all, your A wave needs to be the most impulsive. And then you can come up and back test and then come down. All right. That'd be ideal for USDT. If you're looking for more in-depth analysis, key levels, things like that, I do cover that on the through my Patreon, things like that. But without further ado, let's get into some XLM. There's some great. I know I've been buying down through here. XLM We're in that golden zone on the 10-day. I do want to look at the 2-week. Nothing yet on the 2-week, but it's brewing. We had a green dot on the weekly. We have so much bullish divergence coming in through here. It's just bullish momentum. This has happened a little bit through here. And we saw that 1-2 setup. Pardon me. And then that's it. That's really it. I mean, and this has been prolonged. This has been going on for weeks on weeks on weeks. You're slowing on bearish momentum while your price gets absolutely destroyed. You know, your RSI, is it really doing much of anything to, you know, be not bullish on, but just, you know, oh, is there a potential for it to the upside? I mean, this is very nice. This is very, very, very nice. Okay, so what we got here, we have higher lows. So we have bullish divergence coming down through here. We have higher lows on the weekly chart, and we have lower lows in price. Beautiful. Okay, we got that green dot, which it hasn't played out. It hasn't really played out. You know, it's these green dots flashing. It doesn't mean it's an immediate reversal, but it does mean, you know, a bottom is trying to form. We're trying to form a bottom. I mean, look through here. Before you took off, look at all this. It doesn't mean you're immediately going up, but a bottom is trying to form. Did we go much lower than here on this low? No, we didn't. We kind of just went sideways. Are we going to go much lower than, I mean, yes, we did. We went much lower than here. What about here, though? Maybe we just range bound for a little bit. Build a base. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of saying, you know, by the end of this month you're going to see something. I do, you know, before we even see any kind of expansion, anything crazy, we do need like a 1-2 setup. Coming up through here, coming up 1-2, something like that. Okay? So it's impulse, oscillate. That's your setup that you're looking for. It's not just going to be straight. I mean, it could. Don't get it twisted. It could. Crypto is funny like that, where you could, you know, you could see it straight vertical, but you need a setup, right? You need something. You need a setup, and I would like a little base. You know, you've been going sideways since pretty much. I mean, pretty much since, you know, this is going to be the 4th week. So maybe you go sideways for a couple weeks. What did we go sideways over here for? Right through here. Once we hit right here, kind of just started going sideways. 13 weeks. April or May, something down through here, just kind of just getting a base, accumulating, letting people like me buy and be told I'm crazy and this or that or the other. It's in a golden range. You're down here, and you know, can price go lower? It absolutely can go lower. Can price go higher? It can absolutely go higher. So when we're down in here in this golden range, it's just the risk to reward ratio for me, for someone that is very bullish on XLM for its use case, for its real world ability, right? Where I think that it's going to be actually used and adopted. I think it's hard to pass up down through here. And like I said, you know, you're getting buy signals on the 10-day, which is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So let's go into the daily and kind of see what's going on. So, you know, we have this. Oh, wait, let me check something out real quick. Look at this RSI. That RSI looks actually bullish. This MACD, I've been talking about this MACD. It's kind of looking sad a little bit. You know, when you kind of flutter, when you don't really make a decision, when you're kind of just going sideways, when you're really not, or you're just kind of, you know, you're not making an actual decision. It is delayed. Yes, it's delayed. But you just give so much room for bears to just punish. I mean, anything through here. I mean, this is very similar, right? And you're kind of just doing nothing, and then got slammed down. So, you know, do I use the MACD? Do I like the MACD? I like the MACD, but it's not end all be all. You can't just look at the MACD and be like, oh, there you go, you're done. Yeah, look at a lot of things, right? This thing has been oscillating. It is getting extremely tight in here. I mean, extremely tight, extremely. And you're coming down to a head. What is this? The middle of March. All right, middle of March. You know, with gold and silver, we kind of looked at gold and silver, and what would we say? By the end of next week, by March 10th, something like that. So Coinciding with gold and silver kind of taking a step back, we have XLM here that has been oscillating at the very bottom of the golden range. Trying to break out, you're making, yes, you have a higher low. I know it's hard to believe you have higher lows. Oop. It's not the prettiest of structures, right? You kind of got like 3 up, kind of got like a 3 down. I mean, it could be some type of expanded flat. So let me see through here, up through here, down through there. Yeah, until you get above that 16.7 for me personally, until we can get above there and close, not just wick, right? You've done it multiple times. Until you can get above 16.7, close above 16.7. So come up through here, close up here. That would look beautiful. That would. And not just go straight up. Come up through here, defeat it, kind of go sideways, build a base, and then go. Okay? Something like that. Have like a nice, I mean, this kind of right through here looks like almost like a 1-2. So let's take a measurement of this. Let's take a measurement of this. If you guys are interested in, me covering different charts, the last time we were covering charts, those things went crazy. I'm going to go over ARC. I'm going to look at that, or AI. Those things have been absolutely crazy. What did I say? 16.7, or is it 7.86? 16.6. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. What about if I use this down through here? If I get really good. 16.6. Okay. So that 16.7 up through here. Need to really close and defeat that. Right now, are we doing anything that tells me that a move is brewing and a move is good? No. I know it's upsetting. I know people are ready for a move. People are ready for their patience to pay off, right? People are ready for the grind to the downside to be over, for the constant red, for them looking at their portfolio, for their mental health, right? But right now, no. I'm sorry, until you get above through here, okay, then you're looking at something where you're looking more positive. But you can't be 3 waves. It can't be, you did 3 waves up, 3 waves down. You can't do another 3 wave move up, because then you're going to come right back down. And that's not the worst case scenario, because you're still building a base. All right, still building a base. What did we say till like, right, middle of March, something through here. So like you're just, you come up, come down, come up, oscillate down like that, and then you go. Something like that. Build a base. Yeah, that 16.7 up through here. That's kind of where I think of moving forward. To the downside, right? To the downside. So we have some levels to the upside. To the downside, we gotta be just as savvy with this. You can't just be looking at only upside. That did look bearish. I mean, this chart, can we come down to these levels, to this 12-cent level? Of course. But when you get something like this does look, when you come up through here, this almost looks like an A, B. We're getting ready for a C wave. All right, for an A, B, C, and then you can come up. Almost does. Almost looks like too dangerous, right? Too dangerous. Too freaking dangerous. So we're actually going to use this up through here. Right here to right there. 17.8. It's a little bit different. I mean, if we're taking this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you come up for a 5th. Let me see. Got to get some measurements. You know what I mean? Got to get some measurements. Got to do the process of elimination. We got to see what the heck is going on right through here. 1618, 265. That thing hit. I mean, I know I talked about it last time, but it just hits perfect. at 3414, 11.5. We're going to remember 11.5. 11.5. Okay, 11.5. You know, I do want to take this through here. Actually, yeah. 11.4 is at 2. 2 to 2. And then what about this guy right here? We'll do the 1-to-1 extension. 10.9. 11.5, 10.9. You know, somewhere down through here. I do want to check to see something real quick. You know, because I had these marked out. I just like to see. I like to double check. 14.3. It's monthly open. Coming down to this 14.3. That would be, you know, that would be indicative if we come down through here and close down through here. Then yeah, we're coming to this 12 to 11.5 area. Maybe wick down. All right, wick down, something like that. So. But this is, you know, this is kind of, you know, we have a scenario like this where you have a, you know, you got the 1, 2, you got a 3, you got a 4, you got a 5. Okay, so you need that fifth wave up. I've had these targets for a long time, 90, 91, all the way to $1.11. You know, best case scenario, you're coming up to like the 140 to 160. That's, you know, for now, I think XLM will go crazy in the future, but for now, I'm not gonna talk about, you know, $4, $5, $6 price range when it's not something that's, you know, we haven't defeated anything yet. Right? We haven't defeated anything yet. This 52-cent mark is huge. 52 cents is going to be huge, right? When you come here on the weekly, don't do that. Come here on the weekly, 52 cents is just right there in the middle of the highly overextended range. You know, you have 42 cents up through here. How do we interact with this? It could be a three-wave move. You can come up, all right, reject, and then go up like that. That would be very scary. That would be very scary because you're in a three-wave move. Off a correction, this could really be your A, that could be a B, and then you can come down for a C and take out all the lows and really restart. All right, so like I've said many times, and I'll keep saying it over and over and over again. Down here in this golden zone, I can't be bearish. I just can't. Can price go lower? Yes, but just not accumulating in golden zones pays off. Okay, let's say you were even accumulating through here at 17 cents. All right, let's say you started buying at 17 cents and it went down to 6 cents. You got absolutely crushed. Okay, first of all, you had an opportunity to sell right there if you weren't convinced. But overall, was that a good time to buy? Yes, it was, because look what the price did. Okay, you did that through here. Okay, let's say you started buying in through here at 13 cents. It went down to 2 cents. Were you absolutely crushed? More than likely, right? Mentally crushed. Did it pay off from 16 cents all the way up to 80 cents? Yes, it did. Right? So, not trying to time the market, not trying to time the bottoms, not trying to time the exact tops. Making money. Profits never hurt the pockets. That's the way I think. That's the way I operate. That's the way my Discord operates. It's not about... what's up, dude? Appreciate you stopping by. It's not about, making the absolute most you can. It's about asset preservation. So we're going to bounce from, I don't own any of the next asset, but this is a reason why I do what I do right through here. Okay, we talked about this asset on the last live stream. All right, Rising Phoenix. I think Rising Phoenix brought it up. No, someone else brought it up. I can't remember who brought it up. Someone brought it up, right? And we talked about it. We were talking about it back through here on Monday, February. Sorry, it wasn't last Monday. Shoot, that was a while ago. That felt like last Monday. It's a while ago. So we were talking about it through here, and I mapped everything out. Mapped out key levels, mapped out some trend lines, and we hit, right? We hit some trend lines. we're kind of fighting to stay above this key area that bears and bulls were looking to either defend or overtake. And then what happened, right? So we had this key level of 7-7. Okay, so let's say you entered through here and you took profits right here. Not everything, but you took profits. Okay, you would have made money. Okay, did you time the top? No, you didn't. Okay, did you time the bottom? No, you didn't. You didn't time either, but you still made money. Okay, then what happened? You came down through here, you rallied, and boom, you hit this exactly perfectly. Okay, if you took profits up through here again, perfect. If you set a stop loss through here, what did you do? You prevented yourself a 68% loss and locked in. Let's be conservative. Let's just take the top of it and locked in a 63% gain. So that's a 120% swing. Why do I think we never got an alt season? I'm going to talk about it. I got you, production. I got you. It's very interesting, actually. A lot of people think that, we did get some people are claiming we did get an alt season, but, I'm going to talk about that. But this is the idea. This is my my mindset and my outlook on trading. It's if it's kind of cliche, but I translate it to sports, specifically football. Preventing turnovers gives you the best chance to win the game. Not scoring points. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? Not giving the ball away, not making mental mistakes and mental errors, right, can give you the best chance to win. Right? When you're looking at trading, it's not about making the best, most successful trade, right? Timing this and timing that. That's not what it's about. It's about making sure that you're staying sound, staying disciplined, and staying structured so you don't prevent losses. Right? If I can prevent my losses, I'm going to maximize my gains. It's the way that I operate. I've taken this, style throughout my entire career, and it's panned out very well. Do I always time the bottoms? No. Right, when I talk about silver, I didn't time the top. Right, I was getting out before 120, before 110, before 105, but still got out, made money, was able to then put that into some other stuff. Okay, so I'm going to ask you your question. Why never got alt season? This is why we never got alt season. All right, this is why right through here. Okay, this is why. Right through here. This is the key to why we never got an alt season. All right. Why do I not have this in a group? That's my question. Come on, man. There's no way. I thought I had it in a group. Let me see here. I gotta fix this up. Is it the 10-day? Okay, the 10-day will work. The 10-day will work. And what is this on the daily, the weekly, the monthly? Okay, we're gonna go to the daily, 10-day. I'm sorry, the 10-day. I like the 10-day. So to answer your question, right, this chart right through here, as you can see, it is others versus Bitcoin. So the relative strength of the market. Only managed to make money off XLM, XRP, and HBAR. The rest of my bag is probably down 75%. Most coins are down below COVID lows, which is stupid. Yeah, dude, I know. I'm down on Jasmine, not as much as not as much as I would have been if I didn't continue DCA, but I'm down on Jasmine and I'm a little bit down on DGen. But same, made some good money on made some really good money on XLM. Before I started the channel, in August. And that, getting out of XLM in July was probably, one of the best decisions, getting out of XLM and Chainlink, not fully out, but taking considerable profits, definitely helped. I didn't think it was actually going to be this, when I was taking profits out of XLM through up here, and even back through here too, I didn't really think that, I thought we would come down through here, bounce off of like 20 to 20 cents again, take out these lows. I didn't think it would be this drastic. So I honestly didn't expect to get this buying opportunity. That's why I can't see anything. That's why. I didn't think I was going to get the buying opportunity of a lifetime. I really didn't. If obviously with hindsight, if I thought it was coming back down here, I would have sold everything. Kind of a bummer, but you're right. It doesn't make sense, that all of these are, these prices are below COVID levels, right? I was not into shit coins, but DeFi or gaming projects that perform that. Yeah, I mean, no, you don't have to be in. You're 100% right. There isn't a, only shit coins are down 97%. No, most coins, even with, capabilities, and even with, real world, allocation and assets that have any kind of ability, they're down too. Everything is down. So to answer your question, why we didn't get alt season, this is the reason why. It's not. You've probably seen this chart. If you haven't, you're probably not on X a lot like me. I'm on X, just letting the Discord run and be functional. But this was that alt season right through here. Right through here, this was alt season. Okay, some people want to say that this was alt season. All right, to me, those are just rallies from during a bear market correction. Neither of them were alt season, right? Neither of them look like this, look like that, or look like that. Okay, that wasn't prolonged, it wasn't sustained, it wasn't continued, right? Because it wasn't done correcting. It was not done correcting. We needed to come all the way back down and take out almost all of these lows. I mean, we essentially did, right? With that October 10th wick, we took out all of these lows. So for instance, if someone entered and didn't sell, I don't know how you wouldn't sell if you came up through here. I don't know how. Let's say you didn't sell. It came all the way down to then get those same people out who maybe are, lifetime investors. Not a big fan of doing that, right? You gotta pay yourself for going through and dealing with this BS, because sometimes there's some BS, right? There's a lot of shenanigans that's going on. But this is the reason why we didn't get an alt season, is because we've still been in a downtrend. We've still been in a downtrend, and for us to really really believe that we're, going to see something continued, we need to get above this 464 level. Not even this 287. We need to get above this 464 level. Why do we need to get above that? Well, we tried. It is obvious that is somewhat of importance. We tried to hold it right there and we couldn't. We tried to hold it right here and we couldn't. And we back tested it right through here and we went crazy. So, for me, and this chart has been pretty dang good. It's fallen back down below the moving average. Sorry, the sell side wall once again, just because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going crazy. I mean, it's up a little bit. It's up 5%. But, in terms of whether or not altcoins are going to rally, Bitcoin needs to show some signs of strength. And like I've been saying, gold and silver need to kind of, not tank, but gold and silver need to correct. And that liquidity needs to come back into altcoins. So, sold their XRP and XLM back then, but I was not expecting. Yeah, same. I was not expecting we would not. Yeah, same. I, selling XRP and XLM was a great move by you. It's allowed you some flexibility. It brought down your average, things like that, and it taught you how to get out of markets. Because for me personally, it's harder for me to sell than it is to buy, especially when I'm highly convicted on an asset like XLM, Chainlink. Those are harder for me to sell. I don't know how it is with you, but or anyone watching. When buying for me is easy because I believe in it. I see where the potential is. I see where I can see where the future is going. I can just see that crypto isn't going anywhere. Right? People keep saying crypto is going to zero. It's all a scam. It's all money market scheme or whatever it is, a pyramid scheme. And it's not. It's no different than the stock market. It's no different than any kind of futures trading. It's a speculative new currency that is being adopted by banks and major organizations, right? You don't just these things don't just those come and go. NFTs, The pictures of the monkeys and things like that, buying planets on different servers. That to me is a little bit scammy. But when you're looking at an asset class that can track assets wherever they are, it's worldwide, it's global, it's inexpensive to use, and it's faster than anything that we have currently, and it's 24/7 every day of the week. That to me is gold. That's just, banks right now are fighting that because they make so much money on transactions. They make money on really holding people's money. And with crypto, they're not going to be able to hold as much, actual money from people because, people are going to be able to use it any day of the week, anywhere, anytime. So, that's the one thing with crypto that's kind of, I think, gold that banks are kind of scared of. Yeah, they wanted to reset the market and get the alt investor destroyed to sell the bag so they'll pump it. Yep, I do agree. But I do agree that, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be all altcoins. I think the XLMs, the XRPs, the HBARs, the chain links of the world, those blue chip stocks. And obviously there's gonna be FOMO for other cryptos like DGen, like Jasmy, like Pepe, like Doge, right? Like all these other coins. But in terms of not gonna fade, not gonna go anywhere in the near future, I don't think those like XRP. We can take a look at XRP. All right, XR. I mean, you're getting a green dot on that weekly chart. You're slowing bullish momentum. Sorry, I always say that. Slowing bearish momentum. I always say that. Slowing that bearish momentum. Right. So you have higher lows and you have lower lows. And now look at this. We have higher lows on the RSI. Do we have higher lows on the RSI? No, not yet. Not yet. But we are breaking out of this little zone right through here. That will be nice. That would be really nice. Kind of been bottoming out for a while. But you have this fallen wedge once again. It's nothing new to us. But you have a lot of this bullishness through here. So when you see these green lines right through here, on this indicator, you tend to see some bullish price action. What do we get through here? We got this nice setup move. Was it what everyone was expecting? No. But I'm going to tell you, if you're buying down in gold and you're selling up in pink and red, to me, that's a successful trade. That's up 200%. That's a successful trade. For us to think, I'll even take the lows to be conservative. Up through here, that's 75, 80, 90, 100% up through here. So even if we do get like a 1-2, flag out, something in through here, flag out, then go. That would be ideal. We need something where we can get our base. And like I've been talking about, looking for the middle of March, end of March, just to form our base and figure out what we're doing. All right. Kind of, if I talked about gold and silver and whether or not we could see that. I really want to see gold and silver correct. I really do. Looking at Jasmy. Jasmy is so oversold. Let's talk about oversold. Jasmy is so oversold. I don't like the MACD though. I really don't. Until you get above this monthly open, I just don't like the MACD and how it's just kind of fluttering. Right, this moving average right through here on the RSI, it's seen better days on the RSI. Yes, it's oversold, but when you get the MACD, Rising Phoenix, we've kind of talked about this in Discord. I've been talking about it on Patreon. It just looks unsatisfied. It just doesn't look ready to move. Indicator with the ribbons it's a custom one that I made. I took an auto fib and I put in different fib levels that I use, and then I color coordinated it. So it's something that I like to. I pair it with my levels. So I'll come up through here. So I have my levels. Do I? Yeah, something like this. It's not on there, but just because Jasmy is so new. But I like to pair it with levels. You come up through here, and so right now this 836 for Jasmy. But yeah, this is my auto fib. I went through, color coordinated everything, customized the fib levels just based on what has worked for me for traditional stock markets. I've altered it a little bit, but I like it for for me, if I'm trying to, I can't, trying to time an exact exit or an exact entry is just for me is impossible. So, if I come through here like XLM, right? If I'm looking for an exit, like let's say up through here, right? Up through here, 42 cents. 42 cents, I'm looking possibly to take some off the table. Once we get up to 52 cents, possibly going to take some off the table. All right? Look at the weekly. Look at these. These are in overextended regions. If I'm buying down in gold, so, I'm looking for when I get into this, okay, what are we doing at 42 cents? What are we doing at 52 cents? Where's my entry? My entry is at 17. I've bought it down just a little bit more. It's like 17.1. I'm just going to, whatever, 72, whatever. I'm looking for 147% all the way up to a 200% move. Okay. The main reason why, I have these targets up here and you're thinking, Crypto Vision, why are you selling when, you haven't hit your max targets? I'm not selling everything. Like we talked about, I'm not selling everything, but I am going to pay myself for going through this shit show of crypto, the past the past year. You got to pay yourself. My grandfather told me, before you pay your bills, before you pay your mortgage, before you pay anything like that, pay yourself, put it into a savings, put it into a retirement, putting into an investment account, whatever you can afford. 5%, 10%, 15%, 1%. It's a psychological thing where you're working your way to your goals. Right, because life can beat you down, life can be expensive, right, and all this, and especially in this materialistic world where, everyone wants you to spend money and buy. It's how about take care of the things that are important to you first, right? That that can grow over time, that can pay you instead of you have to work for your money. How about have your money work for you? So those are those ribbons. I like to pair them with my key levels. It kind of just, gives me, ideas of where I want to possibly sell. Even coming up through here, when we hit up this 25 cent, do we reject it? It allows me to build a framework that I can, build a plan around. We come up through here and we defeat 25 cents. Okay, now I'm looking for 42. Well, what about like 30 and this and that? Well, you're right. And I can look into different levels on whether or not how large this impulse is, right? How large that impulse is, and things of that nature. But right now, 18 and 25.6 cents on XLM are kind of what I'm looking for and then you need to defeat that 16.8 that we talked about. DGen is compressing like crazy. DGen looks great on the RSI. It is now at a 15 million market cap. So, I can't say enough good things about this right now where it's at. I can't be bearish. Like on something like this, I just can't be bearish. This looks so freaking bullish. You have this impulse, boom, and now you're just oscillating down, coming down to a pin, and then boom. And this thing, the last time this thing ran, even right through here, it did in 40 days, it went up 400%. In 40 days, it went up 400%. It's probably going to go up even more because it's so oversold, right? That's 3.8. That's life-changing money. That's a lot. That's a lot down through here. When you're buying down through here, that's a lot. And I don't even have to sell you on this. Look at the difference in the MACD. It looks like it wants to be aggressive. And then you come in through here and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different bullish divergences. You have bullish divergence down through here. Like Absolute said, like Absurd said, everything is so oversold. This is so oversold, right? And we come up through here in that 3.8 cents, 3.9 cents. Where is that? Highly overextended. So yes, I'm going to be looking to sell a good portion of my DGen through here, and if it corrects, I'll enter again. If it doesn't, I'll still have some. That's the way I think about when I look to invest in assets. In terms of Chainlink, we do have higher lows. Chainlink is looking it's just, I don't cover Chainlink as much because I don't just get there's not a lot of I don't get a lot of feedback from it. I don't get a lot of yo more Chainlink, less Chainlink. It's kind of my quiet thing. I kind of hold, right? I talk about Chainlink, but it's not something that a lot of people are too excited on. If I'm being honest, they're not. They're not really excited about Chainlink. Maybe because it's kind of underperformed. It's kind of like Ethereum. It's kind of underperformed a little bit relative to other assets, but I do think Chainlink has a special place in crypto. I really do. How low do you think Bitcoin will go this bear market? I don't know if we're in a bear market yet, Absurd. I know people are crying out bear market. Until we get that, I'll touch on Bitcoin. It's definitely in a correction, a very long correction that people are terming a bear market. With the price action, I mean, you can see there's a big difference in a bear market, though. So in terms of, let's just hop on that because that's where my mind is at right now. Okay, that's where my mind is at right now. So bear market, if we're looking for a bear market, this isn't even a real bear market. I mean, you could say this is a bear market. You could say that's a bear market. But when the bear market comes, when this bear market comes, an actual bear market, you're looking at, you have 5 ways to the downside. You're going to have a 3-way move up. And then your bear market is going to take out lows that haven't been taken in a very, very, very long time. See, this bear market didn't take out lows. Right? It just found support right through there. So technically, I mean, that's a pretty shallow bear market. This is a shallow bear market. If you want to talk about bear markets, right? When I'm thinking of a bear market, it's right. You have this 5-way move down. You have a 3-way move up. So we still need that 3-way move up, regardless. Okay. I do have some levels up through here. I have some levels up through 90. It's all the way from 93 to 107,000 up through there, in a 3-way move. And then, right, if we come up through here. Then the bear market lows, where I really think bear market lows can come down to, we're going to take out these lows. We're going to take out 30,000. If we're like in a serious bear market, I think we take out 30,000. Come down through this trend line, take that out, and then come down through here, then go sideways for a long period of time, and then go up. It's not a quick recovery like this, where this is bullish price action. This isn't really a bear market. I mean, people call it a bear market because it's prolonged, it's down. But when you're not making new lows, like altcoins, we're in a bear market. Altcoins are in a freaking bear market. Like when you think of a bear market, this is a bear market. This is a bear market. You see how, okay, we had these lows right through here. We had lows. We came in and took those lows, and then these lows took those lows. Bitcoin isn't doing that. So Bitcoin's in a different stratosphere than most altcoins. What up, Dream? Shout out. My main count is still the false breakout flat. Yes, I remember that flat. I can see both sides getting frustrated currently all over YouTube with the sideways and bears more so desperately pushing videos about 40K. I know. Yes, yeah, the 40K. Well, so we're talking about Bitcoin. Perfect timing. We're talking about Bitcoin. This, I do have, it's just a lot when I have all this. I do have levels down through here, down right at this green fair value, just because you did it right through. You got into that green zone down through here. But like I've been talking about, if we're talking about a real bear market, imagine the ADA chart, right? Samurai, are we cooked? I mean, if you bought ADA up at $1 or something, you're kind of cooked. You're well done, right? If you bought it up through here, that's pretty good. But this is a bear market. Right? Even this is. I mean, this looks like a corrective move, right? Because you've come in taken out lows. You've taken out these lows. ADA. I had some key levels. I did the last time I made ADA was a long time ago, and we've come down all the way to. There's no way. 21 2205. I had 2190. I haven't covered ADA in. I'm kind of curious. Holy moly, that's a pretty. Sometimes you just got to get lucky. All right, sometimes you just got to get lucky, but I can't. I gotta look this up. I gotta look up when I covered ADA last. That's crazy. ADA. November 24th, 2025. November 24th. So back through here. Back through here. So I'd put these charts, I marked out these levels. You can go check out that video too, just to, make sure I'm not full of crap. It's ADA Cardano subscriber request. Know these key levels as Turkey Day approaches. So that's that video. 63 cents. Dude, 63 cents is 100% viable, Samurai. Look where we're at. Right, when I'm talking about, I know I'm bouncing over a little bit all over the place, but we're in this golden region on this auto fib. We've been down here for a very long time. Very long time. ADA, I mean, you don't even have it throughout the history of ADA. But I mean, even to a fair value, which is through $1.32 to $1.58. That's fair value. Right now, ADA is so oversold. I wouldn't really get excited for ADA until you clear up through here. This batch of pretty much right before 63 cents. I would kind of, you got a lot of your EMAs right through there. But like Dreams was saying, a lot of this, I do think we've been in if I think it's still a, like some type of A. I mean, this still could be a B, right? When you come down, you have a type of flat pattern where, you have like this 1, 2, 3, where you have a flat. You do make all-time highs, but you're still making lower highs. I mean, for ADA to make all-time highs, this thing really has to get going. For $3.20, ADA is so far below those all-time high levels. I wouldn't, I've seen videos on ADA getting up to like $5, $10. I don't know about that. I don't know. This getting in this highly overextended region from 218 up to 290. That would fall in place with this being a B wave. You come up, you kind of stall out, and then you make new lows. And then you take out these lows, wherever these lows are at. 17 cents, you take out those lows. That'd be the next bear market. You come down through here, take out those lows, come down through here, and then you go up. And then you go up. Yeah, cryptos, I'm kind of, there's a part of me that is aligned with Dreams. 63, I agree. That 63 cents is not out of question. That's highly attainable right now, especially with where ADA's at. I mean, even accumulating a little bit more down through here. I mean, this is especially with something like a blue chip stock like ADA. The sell off for ADA has been, and almost it's disbelief. It's a lot of these cryptos they give me in disbelief. A crypto that I'm really big on is AVAX. This chart right through here is one of my favorite charts, right? One of my favorite charts, actually. AVAX. I do have to change this, though. Let me change this real quick. AVAX, to me, I think AVAX is going to be, you're already above your monthly open. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to show you guys why, too. I've been highly, highly bullish on AVAX because of the 10-day chart, right? This 10-day chart on AVAX down through here. So I posted a short on this, and when I try to post something, I'm not trying to just be clickbait, not be this or that, but AVAX, this is the only chart that has this. It has bullish divergence on the 10-day chart. So it's a significant chart. Bullish divergence from August of 2024 all the way into January of 2026. Bullish divergence. This chart is very similar to ADA. It's very similar to Chainlink as well. More so ADA. That's why I think ADA can definitely get up to 63 cents without a doubt. I definitely think so. I had this, pardon me, had this mapped out. It's got this green dot on the 10-day buy. I think, it doesn't have this fluttering MACD like a lot of cryptos have. So a lot of cryptos, it kind of looks like this. You're slightly bullish, right? Kind of like have a bullish MACD with it almost fluttering, right? The MACD is it's kind of just going up and sideways. It's not really doing anything. That to me is pretty bearish. But look at AVAX is, you're almost like you're doing the bump and go where you're ready to rip and ride because you're just slowly grinding up. Wow, price is tanking. So to me, I think AVAX, I'm probably going to get into AVAX once I see a close right above this monthly open. I'll probably get into AVAX, right? Just because of, like I've said, it's one of my favorite looking charts. It really is. In terms of 63 cents should happen, yeah, without a doubt. I remember when ADA ran to $3, it ran so fast. Exactly, a lot of these can run so fast, right? ADA, I can't believe this trips me out. Like those, getting key levels and putting them on so I can hold myself accountable and then coming back. Sometimes I strike out. Sometimes when they're like that, it kind of creeps me out actually. But yeah, getting up to this thing ran up so fast. I mean, even if we want to just count from here, from $1 to, because we've already been to $1. So this thing went from $1 to over $3 in 42 days. We've already been to $1, but yeah, I think Samurai. I think you're 63 cents. Is that your entry point to break even? If so, I think you can find it's going to be challenging, right? Because when price comes up to your entry point, man, I got stopped out of near on my Profit Lab series too. Now, I was talking about near for a while. That's rough. That's rough. My Profit Lab series, I use extremely tight stop losses just for it's more so an educational series for portfolio management, asset preservation, building discipline. It is frustrating. I typically use larger stop losses than 5%, but it is what it is. Near looks good. We got that green dot through there. It's breaking out of the RSI. Looks good. I did enter a position on Filecoin. Filecoin down through here on the daily. I gotta zoom into this thing. It's way down through here. I did enter a position down here in Filecoin, just because I do like when assets when they sell off hard and then they just go sideways like this. You're not forming a channel. You're not coming up like this. You're just going sideways. This 3 up, 3 down, 3 up possibly, maybe 3 back down, maybe 3 up, something like that. I've been thinking about the middle to the end of March, looking for some kind of relief rally, something where, talking about Bitcoin entering a bear market. If Bitcoin really is going to enter a bear market, and I've had this level on here for a while. Right through here, the 7743. I've had that talked about on Patreon, just trying to defeat that level. If we get above that level, we're targeting 78. And it's going to be fast. It's going to be very fast. Getting up to this, but then you start to get up here. If you do this in a 3-wave move, it's going to look bullish, right? It's going to look bullish. You're almost going to have like this inverse head, shoulder. Maybe you come back down to that 78 and then you go. I can't even get it on frame because that does look pretty freaking bullish to me. It's on the daily, it's on the 4-hour chart. But overall, that does, a lot of people are saying, bearish. The higher we go and we reject, the worse the bear market is going to be. We come up here in 3 like this, we reject 107. That'll be catastrophic for Bitcoin. That'll be catastrophic for Bitcoin if we come up and do that. 93, maybe we just get something shallow, then we can come down and take out 50s, maybe hit that 40, something down through here. But you come up to 107, you're really giving bears momentum if you reject right through there, because that's your move, right? That's the steam you have left. I don't know. I don't see it. I know a lot of people are extremely bearish. It's just right now, I don't know. We're not forming a bearish channel. There isn't something like this. You see the difference? You're kind of coming up, and then reject. We're just going sideways. We're actually going down. We're kind of oscillating down still. And still, if you count the wicks, we're making higher lows. So it does look nice. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a perma bull, but this looks nice. We are in three-wave moves, which is not the greatest, right? You kind of have a three-wave move up, three-wave move down, and then you got almost like a three-wave move up. But if we zoom in, this does look pretty interesting through here. Pretty interesting. Chances are it would be very fast where people don't have enough time to react rationally, or if not fast, choppy and misleading enough to keep them guessing wrong. Yeah, it's in between. I mean, I'm actually leaning towards being choppy for a little bit longer. Maybe because that's my bias of I want like a strong base, but this gold and silver, I just really, as long as gold and silver are ripping, I don't think anything else is really going to do much. I mean, this looks bearish. This looks bearish. It's bearish. I mean, this is bearish. I know it's kind of breaking out, but I'm bearish on gold and silver, especially silver. I'm bearish. You're coming up through here and you're just, you invert this, and I don't know. There's something about me there's something like screaming to me right now that, gold and silver are gonna, when they correct, that's when everything will move. And I'm not just talking just crypto, right? Traditional stocks, crypto affiliated stocks will run, MSTR, maybe GameStop, Donald Trump stock, right? Donald Trump stock will run, ASST, things like that. I think those will do fairly well. What else? Mara. There's a ton. I do think it's going to be quick. I did want to check in on all the big charts. All are printing green dots. So you got a green dot, green dot, green dot, and a green dot. So the last time there was a trifecta, all three was actually down through here in April. It still didn't lead to anything though. That's the thing. A lot of these moves aren't really leading to anything. The last chart that I'm really going to talk about is Ethereum. Ethereum, I'm the most bullish on Ethereum. I know people hate on Ethereum, but I made a short about this a while ago. I entered a position on Ethereum actually on my Profit Lab series, and the last two times that Ethereum entered this golden region with a green dot, it did rally. Was it sustained? No. This one wasn't. This one rallied up 130%. That's a pretty solid return on investment. This one led to the setup that we're in currently, right? Where I've kind of been going back and forth with Ethereum. Right? I've kind of been going back and forth with Ethereum. On Ethereum being either this was a third wave and we came down in a fourth, and we hit the 1, 2. I don't. There's something in me that's really screaming that this is the fourth. Because either one, they're both valid. It's just type of situation we're in. If we're in something like this, then we're looking for. Either way, I'm looking for a move to the upside. But I think Ethereum, I think it is looking very good. We definitely need to close above 2179. That's my first take profit zone, actually, right through here. And I'll probably layer out through here. Because I do expect, regardless of it being a 1-2, right? I'm trying to avoid this, and then you're done. And you're done. That would be the best case for now. I mean, I do have targets higher for Ethereum, but not like crazy targets. But either way, Ethereum, the last, like I said, the last couple of times it came down to this golden zone, it has done very well. And Ethereum, it's got a green dot on the weekly. That RSI looks beautiful. It's a rounded RSI, so you're actually getting momentum. You're not just trying to do a sharp retrace, like a quick one. You're not coming down straight up like that. That's, for bottomings, I like to see this rounded RSI. This MACD, Doesn't look like the other MACDs that we've looked at, where it kind of looks a little bearish, right? We're having higher lows on the MACD. We have lower lows. So to me, it looks good. To me, Ethereum looks really good. Looks really primed. Overall, that's what I do think about Ethereum. In terms of, the last thing that I want to check out that is paired with Ethereum is Ethereum versus Ethereum and Bitcoin. It stalled out through here. This purple is just at 786. Really, really, really need to close back through here. Really need to close above that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next couple of days brings with the war in the Middle East. People have been saying, it's going to be a 40-day war, this or that, the other. But just stability, right? Kind of curbing that uncertainty. Kind of seeing a little drawback over the last couple hours. Not super surprising, especially with how crypto's been pretty fluctuating. But Ethereum dominant, or Ethereum versus Bitcoin. If we zoom out, how can I be bearish on something like this, where you have this nice, beautiful impulse, it's coming up like a V shape, and you're just creating this little handle, you're just oscillating down through here, right? And so, have some more targets up through here, and until really you break above this 34856 level, nothing. You can keep kind of just going sideways. The way the channel works is, you're below 29877, you can target 24209. So you can be in here for a while too. So a little bit of both. I appreciate you guys all stopping by. If you guys have any final requests, I can get into them. We can talk about them. Break it down a little bit. Wait, I kind of want to check this out. Ooh, we did close down below. We're right back up. The Russell. Highly over, you got that red dot. You got bearish divergence. Doesn't look like it really wants to expand, if I'm being honest. Russell kind of looks toppy. That's not the greatest, but, other than that, that's what I got for today. I'll probably be covering, I don't know what I'm going to cover tomorrow. Maybe ADA. ADA looks like it's interesting to cover. What will the signal bear market for you? This last rally and failure to go higher. Yeah, for a bear market for me, it would be to confirm like the lower, the 40s, the 30s. If Bitcoin comes up to this, in a 3-wave move, comes up and rejects 93, comes up and rejects 107 up through there. So those last couple times, since 107 was a pretty big area before, and this 93 was pretty big. It was pretty much that 4th wave high. So if you come up through here and you reject 93, you come up through here and reject 107. I'm going to be, so right now I'm relaxed. You can kind of tell it in my voice. I'm relaxed. Yeah, price is kind of wishy-washy. It kind of sucks. It's kind of going down. It's been kind of going sideways. I'm not nervous though. Wow, that just changed all green. Did you guys see that? Something big is happening. Something big is going to happen with Bitcoin. It's changing on time. This has never happened on the chart before. On the weekly chart, it's never been that green. Maybe a little bit through here. Maybe a little bit through here. Yeah, a little bit through here. And that did lead to some lower lows. Look at that. That did lead to some lower lows. Through here. You got to call it as you see it, right? Got to call it as you see it. And it really didn't get that much of a rally. Look at that. That's pretty disgusting. That's pretty gross. We don't want to see that. Very similar. Right? Very similar. So we just don't want to see an RSI that's doing this. So perfect question. Perfect question, because it's, we can compare apples to apples right here. I'm not going to cherry pick and, try to play both sides. I'm bullish right now. On assets, not just crypto, but on assets, because they're so oversold. Market sentiment is in the tank. The Fed's going to lower interest rates. The ISM is breaking out. But does that mean we need to go higher right now? No. So if we come up and like I say, we come up to in a 3-wave move and reject up through here, I'm going to be nervous. And I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm nervous right now. I am de-risking. I'm going to de-risk. So we're looking for an RSI. Really don't want to just come up through here and go sideways. Really want to get out of here. And then, that's when I'll start to say, you know what, Bitcoin's going to go to some prices that people are not going to really expect, like coming down through here, maybe coming down to this. People are saying 30. If most people lose most of their time, most people lose most of the money most of the time, and most people are calling for 30,000. It's probably not going to 30. It's probably stopping before and getting a rally to front run. Okay, probably going to front run the rally. Maybe we come up through here and reject. And guess what? It's not going to do. It's not going to come right down to 30 and then bounce. It's more than likely going to come down through here. It's probably going to trap people. I'll probably get like something like that, and then boom, trap people down through here. I'm not saying it's going to go down to 8,000, but it can go down pretty damn low. If we're in a true bear market, we have to take out some lows and reset. Right? We have to reset. Maybe even back test the lows at 30. Make maybe a little wick down to 20s, and then start to go crazy. But I don't really see. I mean, maybe, there's so many things that, I could be totally dead wrong on everything, and that's the risk of putting your thoughts out there for people to see and to criticize and to evaluate. But it's all good. I'm continuously trying to get better, and so I'll just keep working and getting feedback, like Dreams, like Phoenix. You guys have your thoughts on the markets and your feedback have allows me to question my own thought process on whether or not I'm being too biased, if I'm being too narrow-minded and things like that. Appreciate your work and time, brother. When will the next live stream be? I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Absurd. I do live streams every Monday. Every Monday I do live streams. I start off with the macro, start off with kind of just overall thoughts on what's going on. Kind of like I said, I kind of highlight different assets. The last big one was ARK, but I'm really looking at AVAX. I'm really looking at Filecoin, Ethereum, some other, XCN. XCN has a very nice setup right now. XCN has a very nice setup right now. It's right on this level, this 466 level. XCN is a nice setup. So, come on Mondays, kind of talk about what's going on, talk about some nice, some assets that I think are going to run. We were talking about near for a while. It's just, my stupid stop loss kicked in. I too tight of a stop loss, so that's kind of frustrating, but I'll catch it on the next time. But yeah, I'll be live on Monday. Drop down your request. If you're interested in joining the Discord, you can drop your request on the live stream on Monday. You can drop your request and then I'll get to it, and then you can just listen back if you're busy or whatnot. So, but yeah, I appreciate all you guys stopping by. I appreciate your support, feedback, all that good stuff. As always, have a great rest of your week. Have a great day. I'll see you. I'm gonna do a deep dive tomorrow, and I'll see you next Monday. Take it easy. Peace.